Hey, welcome back, folks. Hopefully this thing is working. I think that this should be an option. I decided to test and see what we could do for other options on going live, because my computer thing it's on one of these Verizon Jetpack doodads, and it just does not have. Man, I guess I did 2 live streams and it burned through most of the data that I had. So I said, okay, all right, I got to call in and find out. Well, apparently they had a 15 gigabyte limit, and then they drop you down to like half a megabyte, and so it took me like 2.5, almost 3 hours to upload the video today, and it was only like a 6.5 minute video. So this is a problem. Man, great. I thought I had a good option. It was going really fast, but it quit. So there you go. So instead, I realized, well, I have unlimited data on my phone, which is through T-Mobile. So there you go. Yeah, I am way out in the sticks, which is the only way I could have so much acreage and, be able to do these kind of things. So yeah, that's a problem with being out in the sticks, is that the choice was between getting like a jetpack thing or using the phone's internet or getting satellite internet, and 2 neighbors said, don't do the satellite internet, it's terrible. So hey guys, hey Kenjo from North Florida, hey Drew. Let's see, I can pull this through. Hey Savannah, I could scan through. Look, you see my giant fingers. Hello from Carsville, Virginia. Hey Coach Drew, welcome. Becky, Tyson, Greta, Marcus Aurelius, Alan, Danny. Nice to see you guys. Hey, Skippy. All right, so what I figured I would do, since we're outside, is show you what I should be working on instead of doing this stream. Do you want to see that? It's kind of cool. Here, let me see if I can do this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right here. Yeah, HughesNet, Greta, that's exactly what I'm not doing. I was going to get it and I canceled after 2 other people said, don't do it, it's horrible. So right here, one of my sons is forking this area up. And then I've got this little weenie bed. I'm doing some experiments here. This bed right here is going to be double dug, but it actually turned out to be remarkably hard to double dig, so I started using the broad fork on it because it's way easier. But I wanted to do a little deep dug, hand dug garden and compare how the vegetables do in it compared to this huge tilled area right here. Yeah, you're gonna have to see those tuck duck ants. I'm gonna dig some up for you guys. So this is like, if I paste this sucker off, hey, I could paste it off live. Ready? This will be fun. This is quality content. All right, we're gonna paste this thing off live. Here we go. All right, so you can see there's a little island there with the oak tree and the magnolia. This has only been shallow tilled at this point. So this is just shallow tilled to knock the grass out. And it is not Bermuda grass. Praise the Lord, it isn't Bermuda. All right, so we're gonna pace. And I'm gonna stick, I'm gonna use my little feet. Where's my little foot? There's my little foot with my high socks and my other little foot. And we're gonna use our feet and I'm gonna pace. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So that is 75 feet right there. So 75 feet. Maybe I calculated this wrong. Let's see. Ready? I'm going to see it's 75. About on this edge here. So you guys remember that. Okay, 75 one way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Oh, shoot. What's 37 times 3? Hey, this isn't as big as I thought it was. Oh, I know why. I'm sorry. When I calculate, let me see if I can zoom this thing out further. There's a way to do that. There it goes. When I calculated this thing, say 37, 75, there we go, 75 by 37. Somebody do that math. And that's in yards, so times both of them by 3. I don't think it's as big as I thought it was. Am I right? Somebody do the math. All right, so I think I calculated it planning on tilling this area too, but somebody give me the square footage of this gigantic. There we go. 83.25. Thanks, Tyson. Okay, so 83.25. So I thought it was 12,000. That's because I remember what I did was I paced out here in between the trees and then I decided not to till it. So I counted it before I tilled it. 83.25, so not as big as I thought. I'm gonna have to go make a couple of changes to my videos and to my blog post this morning because I had it in my head that I had 12,000 square feet. I was gonna go through this area too, but you see there's too much coverage. So I was thinking of running down, let me see, running down here. It didn't feel as big as I thought I felt it should be. So if we come from here, Alabama, that's right. So if I come down here, I could till this entire area, but I only get about 12 feet, 15 feet wide from the, there's a brush and we've got to leave enough space for like truck access or tractor access without running over stuff. So I got to leave a little edge along there. And then see this whole area here is available to till up too. But I could till this entire thing. The landlord is perfectly fine with me farming this entire thing. It comes out to about an acre and a half. Why Alabama? It's rural, it's moderately warm, and there was a house waiting here for me at a ridiculously low rent, so I took the opportunity. Yeah, double dig. I don't think so. This is my kid's baseball field. You see, they actually made bases. So there's a base, and there's a base. So there's a base over there. So I can't use this area as much as it would be great to fill the entire thing full of turnips. Why not double dig? Double digging more than a small backyard garden gets to be miserable. I am going to double rototill, but I can get the tiller down, I think, to something like 8 inches in depth, which is enough. It'd be in sandy soil, and there's actually a deep tiller rig that goes on that tractor that a friend of mine has that I may be able to get, and that one will do more than 12, which would be ideal. Hey, Steve! We got Steve Solomon in the house. All right, so if we come back here, this area through here. Now, I don't know how well some of you guys know how to tell what the soil looks like according to the plants that are growing. As you can see, there's some sandy patches here. This is pretty typical Florida, Alabama, Gulf Coast. It's actually a sandy loam. It looks worse than it actually is, but it's pretty hard stuff. There's a lot of sand in it, so it drains well, but there's also some glue in it and some rock, a little bit of clay in there. I have to do the jar test where I shake some up in a jar. But if you were to go look at the woods here, you get a lot of these scrubby oaks. And let's see what else we can identify here. This is an Ericaceae. It's one of the blueberries or sparkleberries. Another oak. Looks like a wild bay to me here. Come around the corner. Thinking that's gallberry, but I'm not very good at that stuff. If you can't eat it, okay, this is wild blueberry. Now, you guys know how blueberries grow, right? What do blueberries like? Blueberries will not thrive if the soil is not... Come on, fill in here. Somebody knows. Acid. Yeah. Steve says, I bet a soil test will show organic matter below 2.5%. Yeah, I'm digging a little soil today to send into Logan Labs. And apparently, I looked up all the data. I actually got my printer hooked up so I could print out the forms and everything. Hey, this here looks like a persimmon. Kind of sad looking this time of year. I don't see any persimmons on it. Maybe a male. That's nice. It's only a little one. Got a cherry right here. And there's the boat that we came back on. Just parked it right up here. We actually rode it up on Sally, right into the yard. So if you see, speaking of pine trees, yeah, you mentioned pine trees. Acid, 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 acid. And we have everybody's favorite invasive grass over on this side. Kogan grass. Which is going to get knocked out soon. But I can actually use this area to garden in as well around the boat if I want to. But I don't want to because, as many people have already pointed out, the deer issue is real out in the country. There are lots of deer here. And as many people said when I told them I was putting a garden in and I showed the initial pictures, hey, what are you going to do when the deer arrive? The deer are showing up. What are you going to do? Well, some of them I'm going to eat, but I don't want them getting into the garden. You know, somebody said, you're just planting a food plot for the deer. Yes, that is a real problem. That is a serious problem. But I'm going to have to put in a bit of a fence barrier kind of a thing, because you want to do that before the deer actually discover that you've planted food for them, because once they discover that you've planted food for them, it becomes a problem. Tyson says, can you graft Japanese persimmon onto American? Yes, you can. Diospyros virginiana is a common rootstock for Diospyros khaki, so definitely. So I could just go around and do that. Yes, deer are also food. Deer are actually better food than vegetables. So yeah, that's our start. And I have found already that through the woods here, we have a wide range of mushrooms. I've eaten a lot of wild mushrooms in the past week or so since all the rains came through. I could probably find some for you right now live. But I harvested a whole bunch of them yesterday. The nice thing about mushrooms is they keep showing up, and they often just pop up overnight, and then there they are. See this patchy, sandy, rocky? This is actually an area you can see there's all this gravel. It's not that somebody brought in gravel, it's that this gravel is in the ground. In this area, people actually sell their parts of their yards or their property to trucks that will haul it away, and they will sift the gravel out of it. So there's a lot of gravel in here. It's kind of like a little chippy river rock type stuff. For those of you that are just showing up, we are walking around the backyard and hunting for mushrooms live. It's like one of those extreme danger YouTube things. There we go. Anybody know what that is? I know some of you guys are gonna know. You know, we are low for dandelions. Dandelions are not particularly a good option here. We're too far south. So see this right here. See that? Anybody know what that sucker is? I'm going to take it in and make tea out of it. And no, it's not, it is not hallucinogenic. Oh, it's one of those YouTube channels. It's not a chanterelle. See, this is all Kogan grass over here. It's not into the main garden area, fortunately. There you go, reishi mushroom, reishi mushroom, reishi mushroom. Yes, it is a Ganoderma, and the Ganodermas, reishi is one of the Ganodermas. Ganodermas are not poisonous, but they're reputedly highly medicinal. So when I find them, I chop them up and I make a tea, which tastes like dirt, which means it's probably really, really good for you. And, you know, I'm not going to say anything about the efficacy of treating certain viruses because I'm not interested in demonetization. But hey, every little bit helps. Speaking of every little bit, you guys know what this is? Anyone know what this? I have written about this and written about this. This is a very useful plant for the apocalypse. Yeah, it's funny. AD says, David the Good says, dirt is good for me. Excellent. Come on, somebody, give me a plant ID. There you go. Scothead, Yaupon. This is the Yaupon holly. North America's only native source of caffeine, and it is a relative of yerba mate. Yes, definitely don't recommend turkey tail mushrooms for viruses. Also, definitely not quinine or hydroxy. What? Better not talk about it. All right, so you asked about water. Let's go over here because this is really cool. Along the edge of the garden. Take a left. Did you bring your Dramamine for this episode, folks? It's cocoa. No, it's not cocoa. Come on through here. This is still all on our property. I mean, the property that we're renting. This is all available for us to use. And all through here, there are a lot of smilax, which is a good edible. Somebody corrected me the other day. I've been saying it's a relative of asparagus for a long time, but it actually isn't in the same family. It's only in the same order, which is pretty much a stretch. So I was wrong. It tastes like asparagus, it looks like asparagus. It's a monocot, but it's not as close a relative as I thought. Boyd says, hey David, ever do a video on making Yaupon holly into a tea? No, not yet. I need to. How do you avoid the vomitoria part of the Yaupon? The vomitoria part is just the overindulgence by the natives. They would drink gallons of it, and that's really the problem. It doesn't make you sick to your stomach at all, any more than drinking a cup of coffee will make you sick to your stomach. But if you drink a gallon of coffee, you will throw up. So that's the problem. All right, check this out. This is running water because there is a spring back here. Thank you, Karen, very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Karen is the first super chat of the day. Check this out. This right here is a pond, also on the property. Look at all this space. It's like living in a park. You see why I ended up here? I mean, I was looking at a house in the Ocala area, and it was falling to pieces. It's terrible. And you know, the fellow who was going to rent it to me, he said it needed some work, which is true. But he said it may be a bit rough. I said okay, but when we went over and looked at it, it was really bad, really, really bad. So that did not happen. And I was kind of bummed out, but I did this job for a ministry that wants to work with vets that have PTSD. I volunteered to go along and check out some properties for them in Alabama. And a friend of a friend said, "Hey, I've got this house. Do you want it?" And he took me around and he showed me this. Like, oh my goodness. Yes, I would like that. Unbelievable. So, yeah, praise the Lord. Pass the ammunition. So, yeah, banana circle all around the pond. I like that. So this right here is the actual spring, and this was used by the grandparents of the owner. This was their main water source right here. The spring is right here, and it feeds into this pond. And then the pond continuously trickles out the other side. We have got a storm coming in here. It looks like. Isn't that amazing? I can hear the rumbling. Could you raise fish in that pond? Yes. A friend of mine is probably going to stock it soon. I mean, I could stick all kinds of stuff in there. What happened to cocoa trees? I don't have any cocoa trees. You mean the cocoa trees at my old land? They are, that land is for sale. If anybody's interested, drop me an email. I decided island life was not for me. So this is all, see, there are woods. These woods just go and go and go. It's actually 30 acres total. I think there are some, Scott, and thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Been a good long while. Glad to support the channel. I appreciate it. I've been loving seeing your art too, Scott. Beginning of great ammunition. Jerry says, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. I literally spit peanut butter out. Yeah, one of the first things he did, I met a fella. Look at this, man. The storm is coming. Oh yeah. How much does Trouble in Paradise cost? $75,000 US. Couple of houses. Nice little slice of the Caribbean. So I am going for a walk back because I'm a ways out here. You know, the this piece here is 30 acres, and there are wild blueberries absolutely everywhere, and they're mostly rabbit eye types, not like the little weenie ones I often find in Florida, but actually great big bushes. Quite a few sparkleberries too, which are not all that great to eat, but there are blackberries as well. And I've got there's some other paths that go through. There's a swamp down on the other side that is really cool to see, and I'll have to do some filming over there at some point. And maybe having to do this wandering around live stream thing from now on, since my Verizon jetpack burned out really, really quick with the amount of video streaming I was doing. So I'm gonna walk back over just in case it starts pouring on me. Let's see what we got here. Coach Drew says, I have a jackfruit tree up here in Virginia. Oh, do you have it in a greenhouse or something? I should do a video with Vox on expat life. Yeah, that would be interesting. Do not have mango here, no. It's zone 8, so it's kind of cold for mango. Derek says, hello, David and all. Just found chanterelles today for the first time. Good work. Good work. They're really good. That is one of those easy to identify mushrooms. Just don't get them mixed up with any of those tender gilled, jack-o'-lantern mushrooms. Everybody's like, jack-o'-lantern, it could be a jack-o'-lantern. You might get a jack-o'-lantern mushroom. It's very, very dangerous. It'll make you sick to your stomach for a day. But yeah, we don't do that because the chanterelles are rubbery. They tear into pieces. They don't crush that easily. There's definite difference. Once you've seen one, you've seen them all. Very easy to identify. It's like saying that, mulberries and blackberries are really similar, and you might mix them up. You won't if you know just a little bit about the plants and how they grow. Yes, they are superficially similar in their fruiting, but the rest of it is not. I mean, it's ridiculous. Jackfruit and mango and cherimoya trees are in pots. Cool. Babette is in the garden, says, David, you said we shouldn't fertilize after July. When do we start fertilizing again? It really depends on where you are. If you are in zone 9, zone 10, you could start fertilizing in January, February, to get ahead of the spring warmth. No big deal. February is usually pretty safe. But if you want to keep feeding things, but you don't want that huge, like you feel like they need minerals, go ahead and give them minerals, but do it in the form of regular, rotten organic matter compost. You can mulch around them and let the mulch rot down. You can throw banana peels, coffee grounds, that kind of thing. It's just, if you want to hit them with a stronger fertilizer, don't do that at a point where you have plants that are going to be preparing to go to sleep for the winter. So when you get past a certain point, you don't want to fertilize your peach trees in August and get them to put on new growth, and they're like, hey, let's do a whole bunch of growth. It's a bad idea, because that new growth will get damaged. And it's really a big deal if you got something like citrus, because citrus is not truly a going to sleep type of plant anyways. It needs to have hardened off growth for the fall. Do pawpaws grow here? Yes. Asamina triloba. Leaf says, I believe you could do artichoke in zone 8B. That would be cool. I'd love to try artichokes. I am in Baldwin County, Alabama. Coach Drew is growing loquats from cuttings too inside. Good work. They generally are not known for growing well from cuttings, but Grandiflora Nursery in the Gainesville area was doing it, and they looked really good. Justin says, David, I haven't forgotten the coconut palm drawing for your book. God bless you always, brother. Was the move to Florida a happy one? Yes. Yeah, it was actually surprising. It was amazing how it all worked out. Yeah, Babette. In 10B, you could probably get away with fertilizing in January. The weather, well, we got here ahead of a hurricane, and then we got a ton of rain. Right now, it looks like I'm going to get hit by lightning. AD says fertilizing that late is like espressos before bed. Yeah, exactly right. Jerry says, since you mentioned mulberry, I have been told mulberries have worms and do not eat them without cooking. What the heck? Thoughts? Yeah, that's nonsense. That is nonsense. See, what's happened is people have conflated the silkworm industry, and people say, oh, there's worms in them. The trees attract worms and stuff like that. And no, don't worry about it. Also, when you see the young fruit growing, it looks like they have little curly Q things like sticking out of the sides of the fruit. Look funny. People will tell you all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, go ahead and look at those mulberries up close. If you actually saw worms eating them, then don't eat them. But I have never, ever seen that. I have eaten so many mulberries. The kids have eaten so many mulberries. Boyd says, I have a silly comment. Can you use expired multivitamins? Yeah, most of those elements are probably moderately stable. I mean, you could eat expired multivitamins, I'm sure. But throw them out in the garden, plants will eat them. Put them in the compost. Can't hurt. I mean, if you're going to eat it. Manga Dude says, mushrooms are like spiders. People know that there's a dangerous kind out there, so all of them terrify. Yes, that's true. But I would say that mushrooms are significantly more dangerous than spiders, for the most part. I mean, unless you live in Australia, and then everything will kill you. I mean, there are mushrooms that look, smell, and taste delicious, and then they'll make you very ill, and then you'll start to recover and think you're better, and then suddenly all of your organs fail. That is not good. Let me go do not have jabuticabas. No, I literally, I lost my entire plant collection. I have almost nothing, because it's not the sort of thing that could travel with you internationally. The USDA frowns on that sort of thing. I'm gonna go sit on the porch before this sucker hits out here, because there's a lot of lightning crashing around me at the moment, kind of threatening up in the sky. So let me go in here and find a seat and turn the light on. This is one of those highly professional streams. And there we go. All right, I will sit on my southern Screen porch. Let's see what other questions we got here. Coach Drew says, I like to push the zone as far as I can with microclimates. Do you have a copy of my book, Push the Zone? If not, you would find it interesting. You're probably doing a lot of the stuff that's already in there. If you don't have it, I think you would enjoy it. Country Hub said, preacher said, pastor to church in Baldwin County. Nice area. Yeah, it is very nice. Anola Zay says, Baldwin County? Wow, I'm a few counties over in Santa Rosa County, Florida. Cool. Lebanon, Tennessee. Connor says, when David and his family left the island, the population decreased 25%. That's about right. Have not run into wild pawpaw on the land. I have been looking, but not yet. Coach Drew says, how about grafting a loquat scion to a holly tree? No, they aren't close enough related. It's not gonna work. You have to stick inside of that greater rose family, and inside the genus is better. You can apparently intergraft loquat and pyracantha. If you have pyracantha, you can supposedly graft loquat onto it. It'd be worth trying. And Drew says, love to send you some PKM1 moringa if you need any come spring. I should have a good mailing address soon. Kathy says, do you have any grafted trees? I have a couple of peaches that need to go in the ground that I brought to give to a friend here. I'm going to plant them in the yard, my landlord. Any plans for fruit trees or bushes? Yeah, I may plant an orchard, but again, I don't own the land, so it's one of those things. Yeah, Ev says, you're pretty darn close to Florida. I can walk to Florida. That's how close I am. Marcus Aurelius says, all mushrooms are edible. Some are only edible once. Yes, that's true. Yes, I do graft, definitely. Scott says, good time for fresh starts and teaching opportunity, YouTube videos. Yeah, and being back in the States, the experiences that I'm having with gardening and pests and deer and sand and all these kind of things, these are things that most of my viewers would share rather than being in an exotic location far away. Boyd says, hey David, can we help you rebuild your plant collection? I am not adverse to the idea. The J-Man says, got a guava tree from Walmart on clearance, but everyone is telling me they get worms in Florida, 9B. They do get worms in South Florida, but you might be lucky and dodge them in 9B. So there is I'm not sure which one it is, but there is I think it's a fruit fly that's really a problem with them. It may be the Mediterranean fruit fly. All I need now is some sweet tea. My wife put some in the fridge. Coach Yu says, I've read all your books so far and oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Matthew says, in zone 8 to 9, I started to strip with cardboard, fruit and veggie scraps, manure, cedar mulch. I've scattered around seed packets, bag of pinto beans, and buckwheat. Is there anything else I should be doing? Yeah, watch and observe and see what happens from there. The cedar mulch tends to take a long time to break down. It's not necessarily the best for gardening. It's great for landscaping, but it doesn't last. Because it lasts so long, it's great for landscaping, but in the garden, it doesn't break down as fast. If you can get any of that Tree Company mulch that they shred up, that stuff is good. And be very careful with the manure, because often manure is contaminated with long-term persistent herbicides now. So I don't use it anymore. Gregory says, I'll send you a box of plants. Oh, awesome. Yes, Kathy, I do air layering. I've got a video on it, at least one, maybe two. Man Guy Dude says, dang, I was really looking forward to the good guide to plant smuggling. That's funny. Oh, man, Jackson says, gonna send you some jabos once you get that mailing address. That would be awesome. I was living on the island of Grenada, Michael. Derek says, here in Gulf County, wild pawpaw have already lost leaves. Okay, that's good to know. I did not drive by Sugarloaf Mountain. Well, I mean, I may have, but I haven't known it. I don't know about it. What is the agave plant you get agave syrup from? Tequila variety? That is blue agave. It's a pretty common landscape plant, actually. Yes, I could walk to Maine. I'm in pretty good shape. If I start today, fig cuttings. Yes, I am going to get a P.O. box. Definitely. Hey, Boyd, have a good night. I know, gotchas. What about me? Okay. What about you? Let's see here. Yes, I could still use some artists for the book. I haven't done very much lately on it because I've been in the middle of moving and getting stuff done. All right, it is really raining now. Good thing we got inside. It's getting a little loud to keep doing this, but I just wanted to do a kind of a check and see how the outdoor live stream thing works. Yes, I've tried cocoa. Kathy, if you go back on my channel, you'll see a lot on bits and pieces on cocoa and stuff, and you can check out my website, thesurvivalgardener.com. Dope couldn't resist on the beautiful land of America. Awesome. Yeah, you're right. Back to America. Pouring in Port Orange as well. Okay, glad you can hear me. If anybody's got any more questions, shoot. I'm actually getting wet. Rain is blowing in the window. Yeah, Drew, it's going to be fun. This is going to be a great fall. And this rain out here right now, it's been dry for a couple of days. This rain is going to help germinate stuff that is sitting in the ground out there. And then I'm going to till it all under and murder it. It'll be awesome. Matthew says, are there bananas that will grow in Zone 8? Yes, you can grow multiple varieties in Zone 8. It's just a matter of good microclimates and treating them properly through the winter. I'm glad to hear that, Michael. That's great. Are you still on? Are you still on there, Karen? I need you to do some moderating. Can't seem to moderate on the phone. Here we go. You're gone. I noticed you. You're gone forever, Lambo guy. That was fun. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah, yes, I do need a few more mods. Are you volunteering? Trini in the house. Hey, Trinidad. Welcome. So, I'll tell you, this garden out here, what we're going to do. All right. Let's see. You now have power, Hugh. Be merciless. If anybody's even slightly annoying. All right. So, this garden out here, I posted a video a little while ago, and you can see the way it was all. We tore it all up with the tractor, but I only really tilled it to 4 inches. Just shredded it. And I cross-tilled it twice, so shred to turn the grass up. And then we've had multiple dry days, which is great because most of that grass is now dried up. And what we're going to do next is hopefully tomorrow a friend of mine is showing up with a lime buggy, and he's going to lime the entire back field, including the garden area, which will be good. And then I've got to try and balance the nutrients. Now, Steve Solomon has been helping me. All right, Kathy, that's enough questions. It's just too many. Where was I? Okay, yes. Steve Solomon has been helping me with trying to put together the nutrients that I need for micronutrients. And the micronutrients that we're looking at are things like molybdenum, manganese, the miners that you don't normally get, but that are really good for the plants to have for health and nutrition. It's good for you to have. So what we want to have is the micronutrients going in the garden. Now, the problem is application rates for some of these things it's like a really tiny amount for a large area. And I am not good at doing all the math of what is required to put this thing together. So looking at doing, this is 8,250 square feet, I think you guys said, when I paced it off. And then the additional 4,000 or so I may put into production. Let me see. I'm trying to, you should be a moderator. Of course, maybe you can only do it on a laptop or something, I'm not sure. All right, so I've got to figure out now how to get all the weird stuff that I need for a really big area and how to apply it and get it in the proper ratios, because some of these things like boron, you definitely don't want tons and tons and tons of boron in the soil. It's a little iffy. And also, like if I want to put in really, really good organic stuff like kelp meal, kelp meal can be $100 for a 50-pound bag. So, ouch. Kinjo says, wonder how Steve feels about glacial rock dust application along with soluble ocean minerals. He's a fan of a lot of different amendments. I have not looked at Biomantra. Biden's alba is not growing here that I've seen yet, but Smilax is. Magnesium is useful, but you got to watch it with magnesium if you have clay soil. Where I am, I could probably use some. So I got some weird stuff. I got copper sulfate, and I've got the sodium molybdate and some of that stuff. And I have to figure out a way to mix it in a quantity that's reasonable and calculate all of the ratios well. And it's not really fun at all. I hate doing that sort of thing. I hate recipes. Like I would be happy to pay like a feed store to do it for me or something. I mean, they do mixes here if I go to the co-op, but the mixes are mostly NPK and miners, and I don't really want to do it all chemical stuff. So rabbit manure is very good for the soil, but you don't know exactly the mineral composition of your soil and how it's balanced unless you get a soil test or you just have some sort of magical power. Rabbits are nice, but I like eating rabbits, but man, trying to do all the rabbits. Thank you, Kathy. Can dried seaweed work? Yes, that would help. Jeffrey says, have you ever used the Mittlighter system? My father has had a lot of success with it. Yeah, I came across the Mittlighter method because of, what was that gentleman's name? Church of Latter-day Saints, LDS Prepper. LDS Prepper on YouTube had experimented with it, and it does work. Apparently, I bought and read one of the Mittlighter books, but I have not experimented with it myself. I don't know. It's just the chemical-based fertilizing. I'm always kind of on the fence about it. There's some things I like about it and some things I don't. Matthew says, use the manure your kids make. You know what they eat. Yeah, human manure is decent stuff. I was using that on the island, but that's not the sort of thing that people are really happy with when you do it in the States. The lasagna method or back to Eden garden design. Yeah, it's fine if you have a small space, but a large space, I'm not interested in hauling all that biomass. There's no way. Tiki says, your soil already has everything the plants need. The issue is making those nutrients soluble for whatever it is you want to grow. I know that's what Elaine Ingram says, but I don't believe it. I believe that there are certain amounts of elements in different soils, and some soils have more and some have less. And I mean, you can, if you do a soil test and there's no selenium in the soil, selenium is not going to appear because you have a decent fungal soil web. It needs to be added at some point. Do you have any tips on growing strawberries? Yes, I had a friend in the Master Gardener program down in Marion County, and she swore by Fish emulsion. Fish emulsion was what she fed her strawberries, and her strawberries did excellently. That was her thing. Give them fish emulsion, and they go crazy. She just gave them the amount that the fish emulsion fertilizer bottle said to give. Yeah, Elaine Ingram is I don't. I mean, I don't really follow Elaine Ingram. Azomite and Jersey green sand, yes, I would use those. Jonathan says, hey, David, I'm trying to get help identifying a berry tree in my yard. They look like a blackberry, but I'm not for sure. It's the end of the season here and leaves are starting to drop. I don't know, Tiki. So I've been deceived. I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I mean, there's different elements have different amounts of minerals in them. I just cannot see. I mean, I remember watching Jack Spurko talk about, you know, how if you do this and that and the other thing, you'll have all the minerals your soil ever need. I don't understand how that could even possibly be the place. Be possible. It's not possible that every soil could have everything that a plant needs. You know? I do not have any family in Trinidad. I have a couple of friends. Look up the book Paradise Lot. Spread the whole area with cardboard and wood chips. Start a permablitz. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. But I'm not going to do it. Jonathan, send me an email with that berry tree. Send me some pictures. It is david@floridafoodforests.com. Jonathan says, I'm 23 and just married, looking to buy some land in South Florida or near it. Any tips? Yes, I would look a little out of the main South Florida area, Polk County, for example, or Okeechobee area. It's less crowded and more agricultural. Yes, it's definitely thunder, Nancy. Fish liquid is great. I use Neptune's Harvest. I've heard great things about it. I have not gotten to try it yet because I couldn't get it where I was. Do I grow sorrel? Yes, in the summer. In the fall garden, I am planning to plant turnips, mustard, kale, broccoli. I've got peas and rye for building up some green manure. I've got a bunch of different varieties of radishes, got some lettuce, cabbages, some good stuff. I do not have dragon. I do not have dragon fruit plants. MD63 says, you don't understand because you're not Jack Spurko. I told Jack, I said, you can't, I said, chickens aren't alchemy, because he was saying, you know, the chickens, if they do this, they'll turn the ground and they'll compost or whatever, and you'll get all the elements you ever needed. I'm like, chickens don't do alchemy. Chickens are not the philosopher's stone. It can't happen magically. Alan says, maybe wait for the coming housing price correction. Yes. Matthew says, could you get all the nutrients you need from cover crops? You could get most of the nutrients you need for plants to grow, but not for them to have all the micronutrients they really should have. So if your ground is lacking in magnesium or calcium or selenium or molybdenum or one of those things, and you thought, okay, I will just make a bunch of compost from my gardens and I'll spread compost to fix it. You can't fix it that way because it's not there in the ground to begin with. So when plants grow on it, they can't take it up. So if they can't take it up and you compost them, all you're doing is doubling down on nothing. You know, if you have too much of an element in the soil and the plants take up a lot of it, and then you make compost with it and you spread it out again, you could end up with more of that element and you have too much of that element. So I would, if I was worried about what's in the ground and the health of the soil and that kind of thing, I would, first of all, you can, get a soil test. Go to Logan Labs. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a soil test this week. I'm sending it in. Or simply go ahead and put lots of micronutrients on the ground as, whatever you have available. If you don't want to spend $40 or so for the soil test, or you're not into that sort of thing, put some kelp meal out there, put some azomite out there, put some bone meal out there. You're going to just spread a whole bunch of stuff and you'll get it. And also, you know, if you're composting material that's coming into your house, you're going to get a certain amount of micronutrients out of that. So, you know, you throw some bones in there, and you throw in some leaf scraps, you know, lettuce scraps, and you've got some carrot peels. All those plants are probably coming from farms with different minerals in the soil. So you're going to pick up minerals that are not on your own land. So. Yes, Justin Rose has a great way to start a garden with chickens and pigs with a large area, but then you have to have chickens and pigs. MD63 says, are you at all worried about the Bermuda grass exploding after tilling in a lawn? No, I don't have Bermuda grass. I have not toured Gabe Brown's farm, but I have read his book. Decent Park says, what are some common signs of deficiency in plants? I have some leaves that are yellow, spotting around the edges, no tip burn. There are a lot of different things that happen when plants are malnourished. They can be turning purplish. They could be turning yellow. You know, they can be chlorotic. They can be getting spots. They can have hollow stems. They can have poor growth. There's a lot of different things that happen, and plus they're way more disease prone. And so if your plants are consistently just struggling and sick and ill, they're probably nutritionally deficient. I do agree that the soil is where the plants get their health from. So if you have healthy soil and you have the elements available for the plants are going to look a lot better and be a lot happier. Mimosa trees, yes, good for nitrogen. If you've got nitrogen feeding plants, sure. Till them under. All right, Kathy, that's enough. Do you have roses? Do you have dragon fruit? No, it's too much. Peanuts. Yeah, I'm growing winter peas for nitrogen, and I'm going to be putting those in, and I'm also going to be putting in winter rye. Now that's not just the rye grass that people plant so they can have fluorescent green lawns. That is the tall actual rye, like you'd make whiskey out of. I do not know Mark from I Am Organic Gardening, but send me a link. Pigeon says, thank you for your Grow or Die and Free Plants books. Have you ever tried cotton cloth pots? I'm curious about their claims of being better than plastic pots. I have not tried them, but I imagine they would breathe a lot better. Gabe Gordon says, have you ever seen or heard of mulberries getting mosaic virus? Yes, absolutely. One of the folks on this channel sent me some pictures, and it was nasty. They had a definitely very virus infected mulberry, and I told him to simply destroy it, unfortunately. I do not know Stan McKenzie from Georgia. There's a lot of people I should know. Kinja says, all year we've been saving our vegetable scraps in a bucket. It's 5 gallons. Once it's full, I dumped it on the bananas or avocado tree, put coffee grounds on top for smell, top up with wood chips. That's the way to do it. Slow release. You got a wide variety of micronutrients in there. You're adding organic matter. Yeah, definitely have to look out for Bigfoot here. There is a Sasquatch museum in Georgia that I'm dying to visit. I also want to visit Moundville, where the Nephilim, you know, the ancient giants that ruled North America, there's a monument there to them. Cranky Bean says, is getting compost from the landfill waste management a good idea? It really depends. If it's just shredded trees, that's one thing. But if it's shredded trees and biosolids and other waste, I would say probably not. Carambola takes forever to get going, but once they do, they thrive, at least for me. You know, the carambola, if it's grafted, will start fruiting in a year or two. It can be, 3 to 6 years or so from seed. If it's happy, it grows faster. We had one in the South Florida Food Forest Project that was not particularly happy, and it did not do well until I mulched heavily around it and built that forest floor and then and got it regular water, and then it totally took off. I have not been to the Okie Dokie Swamp. Matthew says, I have a separate compost bin I use for bones, meats, fats. When it's covered in soldier flies, I dump it in for chickens. I've been told not to use that compost for plants. Is that true? No, I compost the meat too. I just mix the meat and bones and stuff in with the regular plants. If I had a huge amount of fat, I'd probably just dump it somewhere. But the meat and the bones, there is a lot of nutrition in there. There's a huge amount of nitrogen in meat, along with micronutrients. So I just throw it in there. Throw it all in there, let it rot down. But if you got it to feed chickens, hey, that's recycling too. Go for it. The bean says, any tips on increasing the number of female flowers on seminal pumpkin plants? This year ratio is about 100 males to 1 female. Not really. If they're, I often had them do male blooms, male blooms, male blooms, male blooms, and then suddenly start with the female blooms. And then I had one pumpkin, which was a machada, but it was not seminal, give me like 5, no, maybe it was a seminal. I'm trying to remember which year it was. It gave me like 5 female blooms first. I've never had female blooms appear on one of them first, and I don't know why. What is your favorite apple? I like the russet, the one that looks like a potato. I have never eaten it. I'm actually allergic to apples. But if I were to eat one, that's the one I would like to eat because it looks awesome. Tammy says, is chip drop a good place to get wood chips? Yeah, some people say so. Other people say they're too far out. It really depends on your area and who's working with it. Any tips on propagating pineapple, guavas / feijoas? I would try the trick I use for bougainvillea. If you look up the how to propagate bougainvillea the easy way, that's the way I use to propagate stuff that's a little slower and harder. What veggies are your least favorite? Varieties of summer squash, including the Z word. I don't like. I don't really like tougher varieties of beans, like some string beans. I'm not really a fan. It's like a lot of fiber and it just nah. But and I actually don't like eating most pumpkins all that much. I just like growing them. There's a lot of stuff that I grow just because I like to watch it grow, not because I actually like to eat it. Michael says, will white mulberry grow in zone 8B? Yes, no problem. Tika said, could you suggest a cover crop to better the soil in Southern California clay? Yes, I would make a mix of rye, peas, or southern peas, or regular like winter peas, depending on the time of year. But if you're going to do it now, I would do rye and winter peas, and I would also plant daikon radishes at the same time to bust the ground up. Have a good night, Tiki. Yes, and you can add gypsum to clay soil. Absolutely, helps flocculate it, break it up. If there was one plant you could naturalize on your property, what would it be? Dioscorea alata. Jonathan says, my seminal pumpkins are only producing female flowers, and any males have no pollen. Why? I have no idea. How many vines do you have? I have never seen that before. Tammy says, do you like buttercup squash? I don't recall that I've ever eaten it. What kind of soil do you have there in Bama? Well, there's mixes. There's areas where it's more clay. There's areas where it's this red, hard, like baseball diamond type clay. There's some really thick clay areas. There's some muck. My backyard is a sandy loam, which is perfect. My kind of thing. Matthew says, I'm growing fruit trees mostly because I don't want to see my tool-time Wilson neighbor. That's funny. That's funny. Skylar has some more suggestions. Daikon radish, sun hemp, buckwheat, cowpeas. Yep. Good suggestions. You know, I think that a mix of species is better than just a single one. M. Silverhammer says, Some say tilling does more harm than good, as it kills earthworms and beetles, etc. Yes, but all of those will fertilize your plants. Yeah, I mean, there's reasons to till and reasons not to till. It's an ongoing debate. I want food fast, so I'm going to till. And if I was designing a food forest, I would not till. If I was doing more perennials, I would not till. And you know, the system that I was designing down in the Caribbean, I had multiple beds that I dug once to loosen up, and then I planted a bunch of biomass in between the beds that I could perpetually drop. So I have not, I don't know that I'm going to establish that same kind of system here because I don't own the land. So I'm going to grow cover crops and till them under. Hugh says, need to hook Jonathan up with the guy who has only male flowers. Right. You guys gotta have a little date for your Seminole pumpkins there. Hey Dan, good evening from Tampa. Good evening. Caveman Smash says, all I have is hydrophobic sand. Any way to fix this without buying truckloads of compost? Yes, I would recommend. There's a couple of things you can do. You can experiment with some biochar, first of all, but that's kind of a long-term proposition, and that's probably more work than sand than compost. Often the problem is with compost when you add it to sand is that it doesn't stick. Compost will just burn through if it doesn't have clay in it. So as you work on those beds, make compost and add clay to it, even unscented cat litter. Throw some of that into your compost as you make it. And as you add the compost to the sand, your sand will get loamier with a little bit of clay in it. It's not going to turn to concrete. You're not going to add that much clay, but a little bit of clay will start to fix it, and it'll start to make the organic matter stick, because organic matter burns out of clay really, really, really fast. All Night says, best way to get rid of nutsedge in your garden? Oh man, nutsedge is a pain in the neck. There's some poison they use to kill it, but I never did that. I would just pull it as I found it, and it was a pain in the neck. It's hard. The Bean says, how many times have you shopped at Publix since coming back? I have not been to Publix yet. Publix is a long ways away. Yeah, you could crimp the cover crops. TA says, late to live stream, sorry. I have a question about fetid swamp water. Mine has a floating layer of vegetation and an old hen on top. I love you. Okay, it's hilarious. Oh my gosh. There are soldier fly larvae and housefly larvae. It's good. Yes, good. The plants they like. They like it very much. I love this. The plants they like it smell. I would. I just get the best questions. All right. I'm not gonna be like one of those morning DJs. I'm not gonna laugh my way through this entire thing, but that really hit me. Okay, I would just stir that sucker up and let it keep rotting down. Maybe cover it. The plants are not gonna mind, but I would not put that stuff on anything that I'm gonna eat anytime soon. I would not want all that anaerobic bacteria and stuff. But that is funny. Cardboard over the nutsedge will take it out eventually. It takes a while though. I have not tried artichoke successfully in North Florida. I've never actually tried it at all. Steven says, what kind of wild native edible plants do you have in your area? Tons and tons of blueberries, lots of edible wild mushrooms. I've spotted bay, I have spotted blackberries, sparkleberries, and there is Yaupon holly. There are some wild grapes, and there is smilax all over the place. Have I ever grown cover crops? Yes, definitely. I've grown wide varieties of cover crops. Hey, Diana, welcome live. John says, do you have Stachy's floridana there? It's one of my favorite weeds. Bees love it. No, I don't have that one here. I really can't stand that one because it really gets in the gardens and makes a huge mess. I mean, I like it in other people's yards and I like eating it, but whew. Oh yes, Skylar says sedge ender works great. I remember the name of the one. It was sedge hammer. I wanna be your sedge hammer. Nancy says, how much clay should I add to the compost for my sandbox? I would just add like a shovelful or so and mix it through and see if it makes a difference and then keep trying. Tammy says when you pull nutsedge, it makes it spread. Not necessarily. You actually have to get the nuts from underneath the ground because there's multiple nuts and you can often follow the little threads from nut to nut and pull them out, at least if you have sandy soil. And clay, it's unbelievable. Tammy says, are you getting any animals for your land? Yeah, I should get some chickens. Got a chicken fund going. I renew my affair with Nate. That's funny. Diana, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. I gotta pay for, my internet is $90 a month. Yeah, it's rural. Have I tried mangoes with success in North Florida? No, I planted a bunch of seedlings and they all died. I did manage to grow one and get it to fruit in a pot. Matthew says, how do I convince my wife it's okay to pee in the garden? You don't have to convince her of anything. You just do what you want. You're the man. You just go out there and pee anytime you want. You are a rock. You are a man. TA says, I do keep it covered, but with space for flies to enter. The old hen gave a lot of eggs before she went to swamp water camp. That is so disgusting. I absolutely love it. That is going to be some seriously strong stuff. I would probably just use it on perennials, fruit trees, that kind of thing. Yes, you can eat nutsedge. I didn't find it was very good. Nancy says, I thought you had sworn off chickens. Yeah, I'm going to get them again because I'm just going to let my kids take care of them. Pigs would probably eat nutsedge. AM says, I tagged you on a chicken coop giveaway on Instagram. That's funny. I'll have to look on the Instagram. Lachlan says, I got a couple of moringa seedlings coming up in my mini greenhouse. Any tips for growing in a temperate climate? Though we get dry, stinking hot, 45 Celsius temps in summer. Yeah, if you look at my website, Growing Moringa Through Winter, go to thesurvivalgardener.com and look at how I protected them through the winter. You'll see it. I've got a whole post on it with pictures. Carolyn says, push the zone with your mangoes. My cattle panels with greenhouse plastic works well. Yeah, that is cool. John says, my 3 favorite weeds are spiderwort, Florida betony, and pink wood sorrel. I don't find a problem with them overtaking my other plants, but they do go everywhere. Bees love them. My favorites are Biden's alba. Biden's alba, and I like Smilax a lot, and then any of the wild edible Dioscorea alata. Coach Drew says sedge is actually tiger nut, which is an edible tuber. There's actually more than one variety of that sedge. There is the yellow and the purple. The one that's common in Florida doesn't taste very good. There is the tiger nut tastes better. My favorite nut tree is the chestnut. Absolutely love those. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. And thank you, Ben. Yes, don't pee in the same place all the time. That's true. It's too much nitrogen, too much salt. Yes, Sherry, it is live. What about goats? No, I had goats before. It's too much work. Too much work. They are just, man, they do everything. Sherry says, my papaya is sprouting. So excited. Good work. Good work. Diana says, can you please say one more time where to find how to winter a moringa tree? Yes, go to my website, thesurvivalgardener.com, and I have an article there on keeping moringa alive through winter. You'll just have to search for it. Moringa, winter, moringa, frost protection, something like that. I've got the pictures of how I did it. It's a little bit complicated, but it's not hard to do, but you can see it better from pictures. Any particular variety of chestnut? I am late. Hi, late. The answer is Dunstan. The Dunstan chestnut is the best one for avoiding the China flu, the Chinese chestnut virus. All Night says, I'm trying to create my food forest. Good. Got a lot of food forest junkies here. Jonathan says, anybody got a bachelor seminal pumpkin plant looking to swipe right in Miami? That's hilarious. Blue-eyed Native American says, help get fruit from 2 avocado trees about 3 years old, 8 feet. If they're grafted, they should be blooming for you soon and fruiting. If they're not grafted, they could take another 3 to 6 years. I don't have any ideas on large tiger mosquitoes, but have you thought about releasing DNA modified mosquitoes in your yard? I've heard that that's a really good plan. Gamma says, how long until you get fruit from papaya? I have 4-week-old sprouts. If you have a moderate climate where it doesn't get below maybe 70 something degrees, you can have fruit from them within a year. If you get colder season, it's going to be slower. You're looking at more like a year and a half. And provided they don't freeze. If they freeze back, it's no good. Sets them way back. Tammy says, we've been picking fruit from passion fruit vine. Good work. Ben says, you gave me the nudge to grow every seed I find. Have many avocados growing in bottlenecks on windowsills. Good work. I love it. I love it. I've got some, I'm going to make some salsa with sand pears. I got a box of sand pears. I need to actually go do that and cut them up because I just got canning jars. Did you know there was a run on canning jars? I had to go 3 different places before I got canning jars. But I'm going to make pear salsa, and I'm going to be saving some of those sand pear seeds and planting them. It's pretty cool. Decent Park says Mexicola avocado is supposed to be more hardy. Yes, this is true. If you crush the leaves of an avocado tree and it smells like anise, aka it kind of smells like licorice, then it's a cold hardy variety that's linked to the cold hardy genes. Sherry says, or you could threaten your avocado tree; it might fruit for you faster. You know me, Sherry. Eddie's avocado. Awesome. All right, I gotta go, guys, because I've got to go. Got to go cut up these sand pears now that I just reminded myself of that. So I will catch up with you soon. We'll do some more of these wandering phone streams. I'll probably get one of those holders for my phone and just use this thing instead. But I appreciate you all showing up tonight. Thank you very much for the super chats. Thanks for the good questions. And I hope you enjoyed the little look around the yard before it started raining on us. I will catch up with you guys before too long. And man, maybe we'll do this again tomorrow. I've got a lot of gardening stuff I need to do, and I'm still kind of getting my office set up and some other things, but I didn't want to be a stranger. So, you know, God bless you all. Have a great night. Until next time, may your thumbs always be green. Now I'm going to stamp the little X out with my huge finger. Does that work? Are you sure you want to stop streaming? My huge finger says yes.